Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the public hearing to order. This council meeting is being convened in order to hold public hearings on land use matters. The public and anyone who believes their interest in property is affected by the agenda items may speak or present written submissions. Everyone will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard, and no one should feel discouraged from making their views known. Those of you who wish to speak or have registered with the city clerk should, after being recognized by the chair, begin by stating your name and your address. If you have also provided a written submission, please make this known at the beginning. All written submissions will be returned by the city clerk and form part of the record of the hearing. Each speaker may address the hearing a maximum of twice. The length of your first presentation will be limited to a maximum of 10 minutes. Your comments must be relevant and not obstruct the hearing. Any additional presentation, which must be on new information, will be limited to 3 minutes. Members of council may ask questions of you following your presentation. However, and I do stress this, the function of council members during a public hearing is to listen to the views of the public, not to debate the merits of the matters with citizens. Any debate by members of council will occur at a subsequent vote. So the order of the proceeding for each item will normally be as follows. Firstly, the city clerk will briefly describe the matter under consideration. Then the applicant or their agent will be invited to make a brief presentation up to 10 minutes. The city clerk will then identify any written submissions received, followed by oral submissions from the public to be heard, and any further written submissions will be received, and finally the hearing will be closed and matters may be considered. Please note that delegations must present in a respectful manner without interference or comment from the audience. City Council is committed to ensuring a safe and respectful environment and supports the rights of the community to bring comments forward. Please observe these rules, and if you have any concerns with the manner in which the hearing is conducted, direct your comments to the chair. So, on the agenda, Madam Clerk, the first item.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item is Richmond Zoning Amendment Bylaw 10721. This is for the location of 11771 Fentimore Place. The applicant is Zeidler Architecture Incorporated, and the purpose is to rezone the subject property from Healthcare HC to Healthcare ZR13 Fentimore Place, Steveston, to permit development of an 8-story major healthcare facility, including 144 long-term care beds, 14 hospice beds, adult daycare, childcare, and accessory uses. First reading was on November 24th.
Okay, does the applicant wish to make a presentation? Where is the applicant? Did you wish to make a presentation or just await questions? Presentation, please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Tate, and I serve as the Vice President for Vancouver Coastal Health in Richmond Community. And I'm here joined with Darren, the Chief Projects Officer for Fentimore Redevelopment. I want to thank Mayor and Council members in the City of Richmond for inviting us to be able to speak a little bit about this project. To quickly recap, we are quite excited to bring a village within the village of Steveston here to Richmond. This includes 144 long-term care beds, 14 hospice beds, an adult day program for those that are living in community and able to come and be part of a vibrant community. We're creating a child care space as well as overnight respite. So not only is Richmond subject to the fastest growing seniors population, but we are also in desperate need of long-term care beds. This is one of the few projects that the provincial government has fully supported and financially backed, and we are quite eager to get going and be able to build this as quickly as possible. Our current timelines, if supported well, would mean that we are opening this facility November 2029. Right now, our bed gap in terms of the number of long-term care publicly funded beds sits at over 500 people by 2026. So right now we have 890 long-term care beds in Richmond, but we need more. By enabling us to build this development, we will be creating long-term care beds in a space that was previously held by the former Richmond Lions Manor. That place served its need to a very seniors population, but whose care needs did not meet the design of that facility. As the population grew and the care needs got more, that building was eventually taken down. Those residents were relocated in a temporary location across from the Costco in our current Richmond Lions Manor, Bridgeport. For us, this is not just about creating a long-term care home. We have the opportunity to create a space where seniors can actually thrive in this community. We're not interested in warehousing seniors. We want them to be able to make choice, have the autonomy, the independence, move freely about the space. We are creating homes which will have 12 people living in a home and have their own private bathrooms, their own private showers, and in that household will come together around a kitchen and a little dining room. Those spaces that are created in this development is really bringing back everyday life, the normal functions that you and I have every day. And instead of us creating all of these things for people to do and keep them busy, being able to participate in life, how it normally is for you and I, from cooking, cleaning, food preparation, being around children, to inviting loved ones over, celebrating with families, is the vision that we are trying to create here. We are quite excited to be here today and to answer any questions, and want to turn over to Darren for more information.
Okay, thank you. So my name's Darren Bryson. Yeah, my name's Darren Bryson. I'm the Chief Project Officer representing Vancouver Coastal Health. I just have a few points to add to what has already been said about the facility. The first part I wanted to say is that aside from the obvious need, it's also a growing need in the community. We have been extensively having dialogue with the community as we've been designing this facility over the last couple of years. And we've been bringing that input and incorporating that into the design. So some of the deliberate efforts that we've already taken into the design when we heard that the light and the shadowing of this building was going to be impacting outside the property lines, we moved the entire massing of the building back towards the south. It was stacked on the north. We've moved it to the south to be able to minimize all of the shading. When we heard that sight lines were an issue, we rotated the orientation of the building on the site so that its configuration is more like an L-shaped massing, so that we move the sight lines away from adjacent residences and it's towards open space and away from neighboring homes. And in the, it'll come up, we had a 7-story building on this property. We're asking for an 8th-story building. We are still 144 beds. There's no way that we can fulfill the modern healthcare standards and this social model of care without the 8 stories. I know it's also been addressed through the consultation process, concern around traffic and parking, and construction concerns during construction. We have done our analysis and we're meeting and exceeding all of the bylaw requirements for parking. And this notwithstanding the fact that our occupants won't actually drive. So we have met and exceeded that. The road networks, through our traffic impact assessment, we strategically did that when the kids went back to school in a steady flow so that we could really analyze and see what the impact was going to be. And the conclusion was that the road networks can support this facility. Through traffic, we committed to meeting all of the bylaw requirements for noise, erosion, and dust control throughout construction, which we're pretty experienced with. As far as accessibility, we're going to improve with brand new sidewalks, park pathways, and the frontage, all the frontage improvements that have been asked for by city staff. And so it's going to be safer along the front, and we're not touching any of the parking out on Fentiman. The other part I wanted to point out is that just the level of support through the consultation process, we've also found that there's a lot of supporters of this facility beyond what we anticipated of the facility itself. People are starting to talk about, co-locating the services because we have independent living just adjacent through on the other side of the park and around there. it's a healthier and more connected community of having this facility located where it is. And we think that we're not rushing this development. It's been years in the development. We're following a comprehensive consultation process and design process where we're incorporating and reflecting all the input. And I just wanted to one last, is that it was 144 beds. It continues to be 144 beds. And we think that this is a modest adjustment to what was there previously in the facility that was there. And we've incorporated input to the extent to minimize its impact on the neighboring community, of which we very much want to be a part of. So I think that's all to conclude that at that point. And I thank you all for your time in listening to me.
My question is probably to Ms. Tate. You recall that when we were at Planning Committee and at Council, a subsequent resolution was passed supporting the ongoing Bridgeport facility and then keeping that open. So these would be new beds. Do you have any further information on the status of that?
So I can confirm that our Vancouver Coastal Health Board did sign a lease to continue for the beds to be open until January of 2029. We are currently in discussion with the provincial government about keeping those beds open beyond that.
Okay, so you are aware of the urgent and important nature of that. I mean, we don't want to lose 144 beds there and just open them down there.
Completely agree.
All right, thank you both. Thank you very much. Now, I do have a speakers list of people who have registered, and I'm going to, I'll go through them, and I'll ask the people be ready to go because we do have a lot of speakers tonight. The first one is on Zoom, and that's Dave Semple. Then Darren Bryson oh, that's you. Okay, so then we have Donna Sargent and Jennifer West will be after Dave Semple. So if you could, wherever you are, if you could be ready to go. Okay, so on Zoom, do we have Dave Semple? There's Dave. Hi, Dave. We can't hear you, Dave. Hang on a sec. Have we done something wrong, or? Try it again. No, we're still not hearing you, Dave. Is there anything we can do at this end? Well, I think it's at that end. So what do they have to do to see? It shows that he's not muted. Okay, I'll ask the clerks to keep working with you, if you could, and the tech people. And we'll go on to other speakers here. We'll come back to you, Dave. All right, so the next speaker is Donna Sargent. And then after that, Jennifer West. After that, Dr. Lisa Nakajima. Yes, ladies.
My name is Sharon Gill. I'm the chair of the board of the Maples, a senior independent living facility in Steveston. I'd like to thank you for inviting us back again. Thank you. We've learned a lot, and hopefully we'll continue to learn a lot. I was delighted to see David on the screen. I'm just sorry it didn't work out. I just came from visiting him, so I'm glad he's going to try again. We're here because our residents at the Maples, our staff, our neighbors, our families tell us there is such a need for another facility in Richmond. And it was wonderful to be reminded by the mayor that this is another facility, not a replacement facility. So thank you for that. We are very impressed with the facility design and the proposed social model of care. The information we've heard from Vancouver City Health and the Richmond staff appears to have addressed many of the concerns that may have been raised by people who are concerned about a new thing happening in the neighborhood. We're here as board members. We've heard, as I said, I think that's the Zoom coming back in. Okay. You want to try and get, we'll keep going? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think, if we've got Dave Semple
Yeah, if we've got him on, yeah.
Zoom, we should take advantage of that. So
For sure.
if we could put him back on. I thought he was there.
I mean, in this whole strategy, it's so important. I understand on the 8 stories. I believe that's pertinent, but we don't want to lose the whole Equinix that we have with the 6 stories being proposed. It's an important element in the community and really is a necessary item. And and I have been very adamant that, and I'm hearing this, that the facility that I'm in will be continued because it's a big need down here.
Anything else to add there, Dave? I think that makes the point.
No, I'm very comfortable, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And hopefully the good folks at Vancouver Coastal Health who are here tonight have heard reiteration of that last point you made. So thanks for being here, Dave. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we will go back to our meetings, to our presenters.
I don't think I can say very much after that. For those of you who know David, you know that he talked about this a long, long time ago. And for him to be in the Bridgeport Lions Manor is sort of like, wow. And for him to maybe be able to come back to a Steveston Lions Manor is even a bigger wow. So I think I'll stop talking. And Donna, do you have anything?
Sure. Yeah, we didn't know Dave was going to be on the phone, so it's absolutely fantastic because this was Dave's dream, so it's very appropriate. But we are here on a very serious issue. We are here because as we are concerned board members of the Maple residents. We have heard from our residents, staff, and community about the dire need for long-term care in Steveston. Our residents, their families, many staff and members of our board call Steveston home. We were honored to have Dan Levitt, the BC Seniors Advocate, share his presentation with our residents on November 1st, 2025. Many of you have heard his concerns, backed by stats outlining the crisis facing many seniors and their families who need additional long-term care. At the Maple residence, we currently have 10 residents waiting for a long-term care bed, facing a wait list of between 4 and 6 months. This number represents 10% of our building capacity. This is an enormous strain on the physical, mental, and financial well-being of these individuals, their families, their caregivers, healthcare system, and our staff. The domino effect is overwhelmingly often. Individuals are in and out of hospital, tying up emergency beds and ward beds, which they have a right to be in those beds, but perhaps there could be another place where they could go. When residents experience a medical decline, they are often hospitalized for extended periods of time because there is no appropriate long-term placement available. Once they are stable, they may be discharged back to independent living, even though that may require 24-hour care. This places a heavy burden again, especially on our staff because we are independent living. Over the past year, over 20 Maple residents have waited for a long-term care bed, with another 19 waiting for assisted living, with an average of 6-month wait list. They often have little say where they eventually are placed. It can be miles away from family, friends, familiar surroundings. A campus of care in Steveston, Richmond, is critical to ensure that as needs change, there is a smooth transition from independent living to assisted living to long-term care. Our seniors want, need, and deserve the opportunity to age in place. The time to act is now. The demographic shift is here. The wait lists are growing. Our seniors cannot wait another year, another month, another season. They deserve the right care in the right place at the right time. This is the need, this is the time, and I would just add that we have, for the third time, a full audience of our Maple residents, and we're very proud that seniors are here advocating for their own life moving forward. And as a citizen of Richmond and Steveston, nothing would make me prouder to have this facility sitting there serving our seniors in Steveston Village, in Richmond. And we are once again going to be a community that has a lighthouse campus of care. And so we are very honored to be here tonight. Thank you for hearing us for the third time. It's so important to us that we wanted to put full on for all three spots. So again, thank you for hearing us. And I think we all know, you know how important this facility can be for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, both of you. The next speaker is Jennifer West. Then there will be Lisa Nakajima, and after that is Dan Levitt.
Good evening. Thank you very much for making time for us to be here today. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Richmond Division of Family Practice. We're a not-for-profit organization that provides advocacy and support for family physicians in Richmond.
Would you introduce yourselves,
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry. My name is Jennifer West. We're
And
here
your
to.
name?
I'm Dr. Lisa Nakajima. I'm the chair of the board of directors for Richmond Division of Family Practice.
Thank you.
We are also here to support us, to express our strong support for the redevelopment of Richmond Lions Manor in Steveston. We echo the comments made by previous speakers and are aligned with the positive perspective shared today. Our organization is on the ground, listening to our doctors, our patients, and their families, as we are all aware of the many benefits of the project in our community and our rapidly growing and aging community. The demand for long-term care and hospice services continues to exceed capacity in our community. Our patients are waiting too long for appropriate placements, and families are struggling to support loved ones without adequate resources. We feel that co-locating and combining care and services in the same location just makes sense. The additional long-term care and hospice beds proposed through this redevelopment is essential to maintaining both the quality of life for patients and the sustainability within our healthcare system. The evidence-based research is clear that community-based approach to care that aligns with our needs is the most effective use of scarce resources. This redevelopment allows Richmond and Steveston residents to receive comprehensive, person-centered care within their own community, reducing travel burdens and keeping families connected. It's clear from today's discussion already that there's strong alignment, and we're in full agreement with the comments already shared and the ongoing support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Dr. Lisa Nakajima. I'm a family physician here in Richmond, both living and working. And I am speaking on behalf of the board of directors of the Richmond Division of Family Practice. I as well am here to express our strong support for the redevelopment of the Richmond Lions Manor. From the perspective of primary care, this project responds directly to the urgent and growing needs in our community. Our Richmond population is rapidly aging, and the demand for long-term care and hospice services continues to exceed capacity, and I see that every single day. Family physicians see the impact daily. Patients are waiting too long for appropriate care and placement, and it really lands on the family to help support them, but with inadequate resources. So the addition of long-term care and hospice beds proposed for this redevelopment will improve timely access to care and support safer transitions to from hospital. It's quite regular to try to support these patients requiring 24-hour care in independent living facilities, which is just not an ideal situation. So this is essential to maintain both quality of life for patients and sustainability within the healthcare system. I think the inclusion of the adult day program and childcare further strengthens the project by supporting caregivers, promoting intergenerational connection, and helping families stay resilient. These elements reflect a thoughtful, community-based approach that aligns with how health is experienced in daily lives and includes evidence-based practices. On behalf of the Richmond family physicians, we strongly support this project and encourage this much-needed addition to our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your presentations. My question is, now you're associated with the Richmond Division of Family Practice Board. Will you throw the weight of your board in favor of keeping Bridgeport and adding Richmond Lions Manor in Steveston?
Definitely.
Yeah. Hear that, Ms. Tate? There you go. All right, thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker is, let's see, Dan Levitt. Then we have Linda Carrier on Zoom, and then Kathy Chikowski. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm BC Seniors Advocate Dan Levitt. I want to acknowledge we are in the territory of the Coast Salish peoples. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I should also mention that my 80-year-old parents live not far from the proposed site. I want to express my strong support for the Richmond Lions Manor redevelopment project. One of the key tasks of my office is to monitor and analyze senior services and track new and emerging issues and make recommendations to government to improve supports and services and programs for older people. Healthcare, including long-term care, is one of the key areas we focus on. And it's an area we hear often about from seniors, their families, and service providers. We know the vast majority of seniors want to age at home. However, many will require 24-hour support and nursing services available in a publicly subsidized long-term care home. Unfortunately, more and more seniors and their families tell us they're finding it difficult to access long-term care. Their stories are supported by the data we received from health authorities and from the Ministry of Health, showing that wait times and wait lists are increasing. This is especially troubling because we are at the beginning of a rapid increase in the seniors population in our province, as baby boomers become older seniors and start to rely more heavily on public services to support aging. Over the past decade, the waitlist for long-term care in British Columbia has ballooned. In the past decade, the people waiting for long-term care beds has risen from 2,400 10 years ago to today, it's over 7,000. That's a 200% increase. The provincial average wait times has grown by 98% over the past 7 years, from 146 days, about 5 months, to 290 days, about 10 months. Now, you're wondering, what are the stats for Richmond? Here in Richmond, there are 6 long-term care homes with 899 publicly subsidized beds. In 2024-2025, residents, urgent and non-urgent, waited an average of 87 days, approximately 3 months, for placement. Non-urgent admissions from the community waited an average of 631 days, almost 2 years. This is a very long time for both the senior and their caregivers to wait at home or in a private and often expensive long-term care home for a bed to become available in a public home. At the end of March of last year, there were 333 people on the wait list for long-term care in Richmond. This data demonstrates that expansion projects like this are essential to meet the increasing demand and ensure the most vulnerable seniors can enjoy high quality of life in a caring and comfortable environment. Now, before becoming BC Seniors Advocate, I worked for many years in nonprofit care homes in the Lower Mainland. And I was always thinking that the campus of care model is the best way to go. And certainly, we all know this is proposed for this project. It is the gold standard in senior living, to remain in one place where you have friends and family that you've grown to know over the years. So this is the ideal situation. And having the 144 beds on that site, as well as the 14 hospice beds, the adult day program, which is perhaps one of the best community-based services, and of course, overnight respite care, which is short-term, long-term care, and a child care center are ideal. And the design, as I know Joanne Tate has spent time focusing on and developed expertise on, this, it's a state-of-the-art, accommodating 12 people in each area, single rooms and bathrooms. People won't have to share rooms with other people. Each household will have social recreation areas, such as a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, and social area. Doesn't it kind of sound like your own home? It won't be an institution, it'll be a home. In addition, the project is close to local seniors services in Steveston, as we've heard tonight, which is convenient for older adults to access supports they need, and is aligned with the City of Richmond's designation as an age-friendly community. Having a central location for senior services also helps keep seniors engaged in their community and avoid loneliness and isolation, which are significant health risks for seniors and unfortunately all too common. My office is focused on helping government prepare for the rapidly increasing seniors population that will take place over the next decade. Today, there are 20% of British Columbians over 65. In 10 years, it'll be 25%. We also want to acknowledge that while the provincial government has a role, we all have a role to play in helping people age in place in the communities and neighborhoods where they live. So as we heard, they don't have to leave the area where they live to get long-term care. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here tonight. I hope this project continues to progress and that the site becomes a new home and benefits the entire community. Thank you.
Councillor Day, you have a question.
I do have a question. Thank you for your presentation, and I heard you speak over at St. Albans Church just recently. When a senior who's non-urgent but needs full care has to wait almost 2 years, bad things can happen. And can you allude to what happens sometimes to those seniors where money becomes an issue?
Well, unfortunately, and there are experts in the room who can talk more to this as well, is that when a senior is waiting that long, as you point out, things could go wrong. You have a better chance of happening. And they might only move into long-term care when an event happens. Yeah. And they might end up moving in through the hospital. And the spouse, or perhaps the children that they're living with, will be taking that burden. Not something, they're not professionally trained to do that. And it's changing the dynamic of that relationship. And it's relying heavily on community-based services that aren't always available because we haven't invested and funded those services as well as we could in British Columbia. So it's really putting a heavy burden. It's essentially transferring this responsibility from the healthcare system to the family while we're waiting.
And then while that, maybe there's 2 seniors living in an apartment with 2 pensions, and now you're on 1 pension, sometimes those people end up not being able to afford their rent and end up homeless.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, the next speaker is on Zoom, Linda Carriere, and then Kathy Sichewski, and after that will be Jeff Moss. So, on Zoom, Linda Carriere.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Linda Carriere. I live at 9530 Haddon Drive in Richmond, and I did submit a letter, not anything for this presentation, but I did previously submit a letter in support. So I will carry on. I've been a Richmond resident for over 30 years, and I'm here to express my strong support for the proposed Fenton Lyons Manor in Steveston. I hope to offer some perspective on how important a facility like this is for my family. As many know, and as described by the BC Seniors Advocate Dan Levitt, who I didn't know would be on today's meeting, in his recent report, the state of LTC beds in BC is dismal and will only get worse as the years progress. As a daughter who has her 93-year-old father living in our home, with care aides coming 4 times per day, and being told by Vancouver Coastal Health that there is currently several years' wait to get him into long-term care, is frustrating and maddening. As a daughter whose mother's partner has been in temporary emergency care placement at UBC's Purdy Pavilion for the past year, being told there could be up to a 4-year wait to transfer him back to Richmond in one of his preferred homes is also frustrating and maddening. The distance to visit him for my mom, also a Steveston resident, means visits have been severely impacted, which has affected both their mental health. And I'll just go on to add about my mom's partner. He was one of those ones that had to go into private care for several months, which was almost $12,000 a month, and that's not sustainable for all seniors for very long, until he got into Purdy. Having a modern, well-equipped LTC in our community is an important step to lessening years of inaction and keeping up with the demand. The Fenton project itself has been delayed, as a press release in 2023 stated construction would begin in 2025, obviously now a missed timeline. I feel a new facility needs to be built as soon as possible, both for the health of our most vulnerable members of society and their families. It should not have taken since 2014, when the previous LTC on the site was decommissioned, to replace this building. As an aside, I visited 5 of the 6 LTC facilities in Richmond and several in Vancouver. Unfortunately, due to the age of some of these buildings, living conditions are less than ideal. Some have up to 4 residents to a room. I've seen another publicly funded facility in Vancouver where there is no dining area on the 2nd floor, so residents need to be lined up in a hallway to be fed. I'm not disparaging the sites. The residents are, I'm sure, well taken care of. It's just the facilities leave a lot to be desired. I find that so awful for both the families and their loved ones, particularly if the resident is cognitively aware. And as I've previously stated, frustrating and maddening, especially to think that this new proposed facility would somehow be delayed or not approved. I dread the thought that my 3 children will have to be put into a similar situation as I've been, if I'm lucky enough to live to a ripe old age, but unlucky enough not to be able to spend my remaining years at my own home under my own care. The thought that I could go into a facility if needed, such as the proposed Fenton Lyons Manor, brings some hope of a change for the better. Thank you to the council for the opportunity to speak on this matter.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. The next speaker is Kathy Sichewski, then Jeff Moss, then Drew Rogers, if Jeff and Drew could be ready to go. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm speaking on behalf of, I live in Steveston, but I'm also a nurse clinician with Vancouver Coastal Health. I am not speaking as a nurse, but I am first line. So I work with all these patients in community that are said waiting for placement. As everybody has indicated, they are in fact waiting anywhere from 2 to 3 years, not 6 months. I have recently submitted a letter, and this is my letter, so in case any of you have written or have read my letter. As a nurse who has spent the past decade of my career caring for seniors, I'm writing wholeheartedly to support the proposed expansion of Lyons Manor on Fenton Place, Richmond, British Columbia. Each day I witness the invaluable impact that compassionate professional elder care has on our residents and their families. As our community grows and the population continues to age, the demand for quality long-term care only becomes more urgent. Currently, Richmond has approximately, as my boss has said, 890, I have said 900 beds dedicated to elderly care. The addition of 144 beds at Lions Manor will be a transformative step forward, enabling us to be better serve our families who are waiting anxiously for safe, supportive places for their loved ones. This expansion means more seniors can remain close to home, surrounded by the comfort of the familiar faces and the reassurance of dedicated caregivers. With increased capacity, we can reduce wait lists, expedite access to care, and further enrich the lives of those who depend on us most. I understand that changes to our facilities may raise concerns in the community, especially regarding parking, traffic, noise, etc. Developments such as Wisteria Place, the overall densification of Steveston and Steveston Highway corridor seem to have been managed thoughtfully with careful planning and collaboration. Impacts have been minimal and easily adapted. The priority is always the well-being of our residents and harmony of our neighborhoods. The long-term benefits of Lions Manor expansion far outweigh any temporary challenges. Increased availability of high-quality elder care strengthens our community, brings peace of mind to countless families, and stands as a testament to Richmond's commitment to honor and support its seniors. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. Next speaker is Jeff Moss, then followed by Drew Rogers and Christine Marin. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Jeff Moss, and I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Seniors Alliance of British Columbia. I want to firstly thank Linda Carrier for sharing her personal story. Unfortunately, it's one that we hear too often. It's a story of difficulty and lack of dignity in the aging process, and that's something that we feel is very dear to us. I'm going to share some personal background about myself and about the organization and why this Fentiman project is really important to us. I spent most of my life here in Richmond. I grew up in Richmond, and I raised my children here. This community is very dear to me. As a child, I remember going to Steveston Park, seeing the Lions Lodge there and seeing seniors in the community. Even then, there was something special about that community, an intergenerational connection that made seniors visible, valued, and part of everyday life. Years later, I came back to Richmond to raise my own children because I wanted them to grow up in a diverse and vibrant city, one that prioritizes its citizens and understands the importance of supporting a multi-generational, inclusive, and caring community. That's why I'm here today, to express my strong support for the Fentiman Place healthcare development. At the Jewish Seniors Alliance of British Columbia, our work is guided by the faith-based values, but our impact is universal. We're inspired by the principle of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, Lador Vador, from generation to generation, and by the teaching of Psalm 71:9, do not forsake me when I'm old and frail. These are not just words, but they are commitments. We live these values through action by supporting, serving, and advocating for seniors of all backgrounds. We fight anti-Semitism not only through education, but by building stronger, more inclusive communities. We work alongside ethno-diverse organizations because regardless of culture or faith, we all share the same goal: to age with dignity, security, and support. At the provincial level, the Jewish Seniors Alliance has been leading advocacy efforts for universal free home support, so seniors can age in place longer and better with better outcomes. We work in strategic partnership with organizations representing more than 385,000 seniors in BC in servicing this goal to try to be able to help support people as long as possible in care in order to reduce the burden on the waiting list for long-term care beds. We promote innovation in service delivery, and basically it's all about reducing the unsustainable pressure on those long-term care bed wait lists. But the greatest opportunity to make real tangible change in seniors' life happens at the municipal level. I wish I could say that the provincial government was there to be able to provide the support that's needed, but in reality, their plan is lacking. Everybody here on council can make that impact. I want to thank you, as Richmond City's elected officials and city staff. Your decisions directly shape the quality of life for seniors who live in this community and for the families who care for them. This is why I strongly support the proposed Fentimore Place development, and this is why Jewish Seniors Alliance of British Columbia and its partners in advocacy support the project too. This project includes new 144 long-term care beds, 14 hospice beds, adult daycare, and childcare, all integrated within a residential neighborhood. It fills critical gaps in our health and social care system while strengthening community connections across generations. This project is not about maximizing density, it's about meeting a critical healthcare need. Seniors already live in this community. This development allows them to remain close to family, familiar surroundings, and existing health services, and keeps them close to home rather than being displaced far from home. Evidence consistently shows that well-designed seniors care facilities are stable for neighborhoods. They often enhance community cohesion by bringing services, jobs, and intergenerational connection to the area. I want to briefly share a personal story. When my own parents faced the challenges of dementia and stroke, our family desperately needed the kinds of support that this facility offers. When my mother was able to attend an adult daycare program, it made a huge impact. She was joyful, she loved going, and she was engaged. But unfortunately, at a certain point, her needs increased, and we had to go through the struggle of finding her a long-term care bed. And it was difficult, it was stressful. Trying to find appropriate care and housing while navigating a complex system is overwhelming for families. No one should have to face that uncertainty, especially during moments of crisis. Richmond now has the opportunity to create a facility that not only meets clinical needs, but restores peace of mind for families and dignity for seniors. The need could not be more urgent. As we've heard, British Columbia is already more than 7,000 long-term care beds short. Many of those are within the Vancouver Coastal Health region. Looking ahead, by 2035, the projected shortage will exceed 17,000 critical long-term care beds that will not be built. There is no way to catch up. Unfortunately, the province has no plan to remediate this problem, and they tend to just hope that this will go away. Once again, the city is where the power exists. Every long-term care bed that can be built over the next 15 years must be built, and they must be approved quickly. Delays only increase pressure on hospital beds, families, and community services, and ultimately cost us more, both financially and humanely. Fentimore Place represents responsible planning, it represents compassion, and it represents leadership. Every one of us will either need this kind of care or love someone who does. The question is not if these facilities are needed, but where and how thoughtfully they are built. Fentimore Place represents a thoughtful, compassionate, and necessary response for the community of Steveston in Richmond. This development supports seniors, it supports caregivers, it strengthens neighborhoods, and it reflects the Richmond that I grew up in, a city that values connection, care, and community across generations. I urge Council to fully support this project and help ensure Richmond remains a place where people can grow old with dignity, supported by the community that helped to build them. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to Richmond seniors.
All right, thank you very much, sir. The next speaker is Drew Rogers, followed by Christine Moran. Yes, sir.
Hello. My name is Andrew Rogers. My family and I have lived at 11731 Fentimore Place since 2012, before the original Lions Manor was torn down. Thank you very much, all of you, for your time here today. I am speaking on behalf of myself and 200 residents of the surrounding area who signed a petition expressing concerns over the size and scale of this project in this location. I do really want to make this point clear. We are not opposed to long-term care in our neighborhood. We are the people in the room, and I say this respectfully and to the best of my knowledge, we are the only people in the room who chose to live in a neighborhood where long-term care is our backyard. As I say, I've been in the neighborhood since 2012. Certainly the original Lions Manor was not a barrier for me and my family. We enjoyed the interaction with the residents. Other people in the neighborhood have been there longer than I have. We are not opposed to long-term care in our neighborhood. What our questions and concerns are about is a structure, a building. We recognize and agree with the need for the long-term care spaces for our seniors and the incredible modern technologies that are being discussed. We want to focus on talking about the structure. What is being proposed is very different from what was there. The original Lions Manor was 7 stories with about 40% lot coverage. The new Lions Manor Fentimore campus is 8 stories with 80% lot coverage. It's not just building up, it's building out. And we have a series of questions about that and its impact on our neighborhood. Fentimore Place is a very short street. There is only one way in and one way out, and there are 11 homes on the street. So our first question, I would like to respectfully ask every counselor, have you been on Fentimore Place and tried to visualize what an 8-story building with 80% lot coverage on a street of this size would look like? What do you see? These next questions arise from the traffic study that was conducted by Bunt and Associates on September 17th of this year. Question number 2, while it tracked vehicular traffic, and the report did say that the increase in traffic during peak hours was high, we didn't see anything about pedestrian traffic. Did Bunt observe and track the number of McMath students that use the road on Fentimore Place as a sidewalk? If the sidewalk is going to be out of commission for any length of time during construction, won't this push even more students into the streets for their morning walk to school? Is that safe? Question number 3, why only look at traffic for one day? As the report indicates, there can be variances in traffic demands in this area for numerous reasons. Wouldn't it make sense to look at more than one day's worth of data? There are many days through the year where you literally cannot move along Gary Street. What if an ambulance has to make its way to this new campus during one of these days? Is that safe? Question number 4, the report places responsibility for event-generated traffic on the City of Richmond. At present, the green space at the end of Fentimore Place is used for parking during events like Salmon Fest. There are city signs placed in the neighborhood directing festival goers to drive down Fentimore Place to park. This also causes gridlock every year, like clockwork. Whoever runs the parking would be able to tell you how many cars access Fentimore Place on July 1st. What if an ambulance has to make its way to this new campus on Canada Day? Is that safe? Will the city cease using Fentimore Place and this area of the park for parking to take some pressure off of Fentimore Place? Question number 5, since the original Lions Manor was torn down, this neighborhood has absorbed the adjacent Wisteria retirement home, expanded dog park facilities, and a growing student population at McMath, as well as increased traffic for Salmon Fest, the Maritime Festival, Cherry Blossom Heritage Walk, Kigu's Swim Meets, and more. How much of a load is one short street with one way in and one way out and 11 single-family homes expected to carry? Other projects on much larger Richmond streets have been canceled or questioned by council members because it's out of character with the neighborhood or that the project could separate neighborhoods instead of integrating them. How can you integrate an 8-story building with 80% lot coverage with 11 single-family homes? It will literally overshadow everything. It seems so contrary to so many decisions council has made over the years, so it leads us to question number 6. Has Vancouver Coastal Health told the City of Richmond that it is this design in this location, or there will be no new long-term care facility for the City of Richmond at all? Question number 7, why so focused on this location? Have any other locations in this city that aren't 11 home streets with one way in and one way out been looked at for such a large campus? If not, why not? Question number 8, will the construction of this new campus, the tallest building in Richmond south of Granville Street, set a precedent? The original design of Wisteria had to be scaled down. Ani wanted to build towers along the waterfront. Is council now open to hearing proposals for larger, taller buildings in Steveston? Question number 9, if this project goes ahead, what kind of neighborhood impacts can be expected during the construction phase? How much of the only sidewalk accessible on Fentiman Place will be restricted? How much street parking will be taken away? Question number 10, looking ahead to a day when the campus is open, what is the projected impact on parking demands for the neighborhood given the number of employees and daily visitors connected to the 61 child and adult daycare spots? We understand that a parking lot will be part of the project, but will it be free for employees? If not, doesn't that push potentially dozens of more cars into neighboring streets looking for cheaper options? Question number 11. One often repeated phrase is that this campus will complete the circle of care available to our seniors. My mom passed away a couple of years ago. I have experienced a lot of the things that other people have talked about tonight. This is very important. I hear people talk about the demands and the stress and the need for the spaces. I agree with them. But when it comes, I would like council to clarify this point, please. When it comes to completing the circle of care available to our seniors, there are Wisteria and Maples retirement homes and now potentially this new Lions Manor Fentiman Place campus. Can council please clarify this point? Does this mean Steveston residents will be given priority placement at the new campus? If there is a resident at Wisteria or Maples who needs advanced memory care, will they be given a priority placement? Thank you very much for your time here today. We look forward to hearing your responses. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The next speaker is Christine Moran. Now, while she's getting settled, is there anybody else here who is looking to come and speak to us? Okay, a number of you. Okay, we'll get to you people after this speaker.
My name is Christine Marin, and I have lived in Richmond off and on since 1960. I currently live at 4099 Williams Road. And tonight, as president of CFUW Richmond, I represent 89 of our members who are Richmond residents. And we have submitted a written letter as well. As a national Canadian women's organization, CFUW has a long history of supporting many aspects of elder care, including creating a national study group to look into the issues in long-term care that became so critical during COVID. CFUW has policies that address this subject and that support the provision of quality care within the community for those who are not able to live at home. It is consistent with those policies that CFUW Richmond submitted the letter to the city to express support for Vancouver Coastal Health's application for Richmond Lions Manor Fentiman. CFUW members recognize that it's important for our seniors to continue to receive the care they need and deserve, and that the elderly wish to live and be supported in a home-like environment. We are particularly thankful that the project plan includes many levels of care, from long-term rooms with access to social and recreational areas, support for those with dementia, an adult day program, overnight respite, a hospice unit, and outdoor spaces. With a cafe and corner store open to all, and with the inclusion of a 37-space daycare, we are now looking at a facility which replicates real life and does not sequester the elderly, separating them from the warmth and connection that a neighborhood can bring. And what better neighborhood than Steveston, where the elderly and their families can walk to green spaces, shops, to the new community center, to watch the dogs play at their park, or to have coffee in the sun on the dike. It's a good thing to age in a village community. And if Lyons Manor Costco continues to exist, Lyons Manor Fentiman will not only help to alleviate the bottleneck in the elder care system, but it will do so on the site of the old Lyons Manor, in a village that is welcoming and safe, in a real-life model where elderly people still matter. It is clear to us that a new Lyons Manor within Steveston is an urgent need in our community. And therefore, CFUW strongly supports the Lyons Manor project, and we hope that it will receive approval for the future benefit of our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I saw a number of hands, so we'll start over here. Okay, you'll be first, then the gentleman behind you. Anyone else in this? Oh, brother. I say that because you have to remember we've had a dozen speakers, only one of which has been opposed to this, and this is the third hearing we've had on it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Alyn Rodden. I live at 11220 Frigate Court, which is very near to the proposed Lyons Manor. I've lived there 41 years, and I want to stress that I do totally support it as a resident and a person that uses this area frequently. I do support someone who lives at the Maples, and I really feel that we need this place right in Steveston. As many people have said, these seniors have long-term ties to the area. The lady I look after, who is 103, we still go to Steveston Coffee. We still use Super Grocer Pharmacy. She likes to go to the bakery. So we need to continue to keep people active and not isolated. And as I said, I live on Frigate Court, so I'm able to walk to Maples and look after her. And this is what we need. We need it in our neighborhood. I don't know if, I know we've said it, many people, but Steveston is a wonderful place. And I think that we need to support our seniors because they're the people who built Steveston. And the lady I support, she has lived here for 45 years, paid taxes here, and we want to stay in Steveston, and this is what we need. So I know my voice is the same voice of many other people, but I really do urge you to support the seniors and make this facility in Steveston. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, come on and have a seat. And then the lady in the back. Anyone else from this? Okay, and you'll be the fourth one from there. Then we'll go to this section here. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Rainer Mehl. That's M-E-H-L. I live at 10200 4th Avenue. I am one of the 3 founding members of the Wisteria Health and Housing Society, who leased land from the Steveston Buddhist Temple to build the Wisteria Place facility. And we started this process a little bit more than 10 years ago at the point just after the old Lyons Manor was taken down. And at the time, there was already talk about, we're going to get a new facility here. And we looked at campus of care and we looked at funding. The Wisteria Seniors Home was funded through BC Housing. We were looking at having a more complex facility, but the sheer scope of that and the size of that, working with with Coastal Health would have made things too complex to actually get it up and running. And even for the seniors independent living, there was a high need, so we focused on that. In the meantime, we have looked at options because Lions Manor hasn't been rebuilt, and there's a high need for our residents as well. We have looked at possibly modifying the building to be able to provide higher care, but again, that is extremely difficult. We only have 110 beds altogether in our project. So we are definitely in support of like the members from Maples and others in the neighborhood hoping for that campus of care. And while there's maybe no guarantee that the preference might be given to residents of Steveston, it's still better than what we have currently, where we have members being moved to relatives that live in the interior or in Alberta and having to go far away in order to get a bed and get support. So we're very much in support for the project. Again, the site was a seniors residence, and the zoning already is there for it. So we're very much hoping that we can go ahead with this project. And there's a high need, and I don't want to repeat everything that everybody else supported, but I wanted to express the support from our housing society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Gina Fernandez, and I'm a resident on Georgia Street in Steveston. And I know some of you from my work on the board of directors. I'm here as a Richmond resident, but more so as a registered occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist for 17 years. I currently am in private practice, and part of my job as a registered occupational therapist is to perform wheelchair assessments, look at skin integrity of seniors or other individuals using a wheelchair or who are bedbound and require specialty mattresses. I do bathroom safety assessments when people are at risk for falls, and I do swallowing assessments when individuals have a stroke, brain injury, or dementia. Currently, the adult day program resources in Richmond are quite minimal, and as you've heard from everyone, we're not meeting the needs. In regards to palliative care, there is a shortage of beds in Richmond as well. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the fact that we do need specifically long-term care. There is a criteria for assisted living. Individuals must be independent with transfers off services and onto services and with mobility, whether that means with a walker or a wheelchair. Some individuals do not meet that criteria, and in the hospital, we are forced to send them home in less than ideal situations. Many of us working on the front line experience something called moral distress. What that means is we are in a position to make decisions that we are not entirely happy with. We know the risks that these individuals have, but we are constrained with the resources in the community. One of the interesting things is right now there is a shortage of occupational therapists and physical therapists in the province of BC. There is an aging population. Many of us want to help this aging population. Many of us are choosing to go elsewhere. We are going to communities that are showing that they support seniors and they are willing to provide good conditions for healthcare providers to work in. I strongly believe that if we move forward with this long-term care facility, you actually have a chance of showing that to the rest of the province and across Canada, that you support the work of healthcare providers and having good, thoughtful, planned residences for these seniors. This is incredibly important. UBC only graduates 60 OTs per year. Physios, there's probably 80 to 100. All of these graduates have a choice of where they would like to go the minute they graduate. I would like them to come here to Richmond, and I believe that by doing this, by you guys allowing this facility to proceed, you will attract them to come to Richmond. The last thing that I wanted to discuss is being a sandwich generation. Many of us have young children at home, but we also have aging parents. Many people today talked about the fact, why does this need to be in Steveston? It would be incredibly valuable if this facility was in Steveston. For those of us living in Steveston, with our children and our families in Steveston, we would like to have our parents nearby, and we kindly urge you to strongly consider keeping this facility in Richmond and going ahead to support Vancouver Coastal Health's proposal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Now, from this group here, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll go in that order.
This will be fast. Hi, I'm Catherine Andrews. I live at 3224500 Westwater Drive in Steveston, and I lived there for about 20 years. Over the last 20 years, I have supported more than 25 of my friends and neighbors and family who've been facing end-of-life issues. And in every single case, they've had to leave the community. They've had to move to a long-term care facility that's far away, or a hospital that's far away, and then had to take the first available bed from somewhere, anywhere. Now, in my building of 90 people, there are about 33 widows who are in their 80s or above. And I would just like this facility to be built before they need it and before I need it, so that we can all continue to support each other in the kind of community that I know we all want in Steveston. I'm a nurse. I've been working with people who've been facing end-of-life issues and difficulties like that for more than 25 years. I want to keep doing that. I want to keep supporting my neighbors. I want to keep living in this community, and I want my friends and neighbors to keep living in this community. So it's pretty simple. Build it fast, and thank you.
Thank you. All right. If the other two speakers, if you could move down and be ready to go, please. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Doug Shearer, and I'm a resident of the neighborhood at 4111 Gary Street, Unit 2, sort of kitty corner and a bit to the west on the north side of Gary Street. I'm here basically to make 2 points for your consideration. One is that I enthusiastically support this project as a resident in its current form, the way it's been proposed, and in the form and character that it's been proposed. And the second thing is that I think there needs to be some things done on Gary Street to mitigate some of the ongoing traffic issues. So on the first point, the professionals have spoken about the community of care and the situating of this in a neighborhood. I will be very, very proud to be a long-term resident. I am a long-term resident of this neighborhood. I'll be very proud to be part of a neighborhood that puts a priority on aging in place and all the various things that'll be offered by this new facility. I think it's wonderful. Hospice care, adult daycare, child care. I think it's cool. I think I read that there'll be some sort of cafe and a CRU in there, commercial retail unit. I think that is wonderful. So I support that enthusiastically, as does my wife. And we wrote a letter to both the city and BCH to that effect. I will say that, I didn't say that I'm an incoming member of the advisory design panel for the City of Richmond on behalf of the British Columbia Society of Landscape Architects. I would like to say that I think that BCH and the architecture team and the engineering team and all the various consultants they've had, in my opinion, have done a very good job of putting a very complicated and intensive and demanding program onto the site that's meant to accommodate a health facility. Yes, there will be effects. There'll probably be a bit more traffic. There'll be more people walking. As with any construction project, there will be workarounds and sidewalks closed down. Right now, if you want to walk across from where I live to Moncton, the entire Steveston Community Center site is fenced off because it has to be, because it's a construction site. It's just something that happens when neighborhoods change and things are developed. So yeah, there'll be effects. I think they are entirely in keeping with what should be expected. And I think all things being equal, the addition of this facility in its present form, with all the work that's been done to get that program figured out to this stage, I think that the benefit that's going to bring is going to outweigh any of the effects that it might have on traffic or height and whatnot. The second point I did want to make is that Gary Street is becoming kind of a dangerous street. Ever since Moncton Street got a 30K limit, a lot of people shortcut along Gary, and people really book it through there, and I see it all the time. And my neighbors will say I'm someone who goes out and try to tell people to slow down. There's been accidents, serious accidents at the crosswalk at Yoshida. There was just last week, I think it was Thursday, a child on a bike was hit by a motorist right in front of my wife, and I saw the after effect of it. So I would like to put it to you folks that in keeping with what's happening on this street, and then we're going to have this new facility, that some traffic calming measures be looked at for Gary Street, among which could be a 30K limit. The limit is 30K right on the other side of One Road, west of One Road in the village proper. There's no reason why it couldn't be on Gary Street. And raised crosswalks would be something that would be considered. I don't want to tell the traffic engineers what to do. I think the problem is calming is needed, and speed limit, and certainly raised crosswalks at Fentiman, Yoshida, and Dunfell should merit serious consideration. So thank you for your time, and yes, I support the project.
Thank you. This gentleman, and then that gentleman. Yes, you. Sir, if you could just wait off to the side, we'll just be a few minutes. Well, a little while.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Brian Redu. I live at 11768 Fentiman Place. I've lived there since 2015, so right across the street from the Alliance Manor when it was torn down. When we moved in there, we had full awareness that this facility would be replaced. My family recognizes and agrees with the need for long-term care in our neighborhood. The construction of Wisteria Place, directly behind my unit, gave me a first taste of what we would be potentially expecting with the construction of the new Lions Manor. The shaking of our home, sometimes our bed sliding across the floor on a Saturday morning, that was a bit of a surprise. Seeing now that the size of the campus that's going to be built on Fentiman Place is quite a bit larger than what was put in place for Wisteria has raised additional concerns with the neighbors, and we've seen we had the 200-member petition with some of the concerns with the size of the facility. After seeing the size of this proposal, it's obviously an increase over what was built in 1970s when the area was much less congested, so there's going to be a lot of stress in the neighborhood during this construction period. A lot of the questions I have are based on about some of the construction. So how much preloading is going to be required on this land? What impact will this have on settling with Lions Park, the seniors' home behind where this new Lions Manor will be built? What high-impact construction methods will be used in this construction, including pile driving? I know on the July 22nd public info session from Vancouver House, they said they did not anticipate pile driving. Has this changed? Should homeowners be concerned about damage during the construction period? What will be done to ensure there's no seismic impact to the homes that are going to be located around this new construction area? How will this be monitored by Coastal Health and its construction partners? Will pre and post inspections of the buildings surrounding the areas be conducted, and by whom? Looking at the footprint of the new campus, I have a question of the city. What has Vancouver Coastal Health asked for from the city to help support this build? What concessions will the city be making in terms of supplying portions of Steveston Park to the developers for housing, staff construction, parking, construction materials, and staff facilities? Using the community center as an example, you guys have given up the ball diamond for that construction. Are we expected to see something similar happening at the end of Fentiman Place? What neighborhood amenities will be lost during the construction period? And then if these concessions are made, will this remove all festival and event parking from Steveston Park for a few years while the new Lions Manor is being built? So a lot of this information hasn't been shared yet, so I'm hoping this will be shared as part of this consultation process. And just a small thing with the parking on Fentimore Place, for those who may not be aware, the residents of Fentimore can't park in front of their house for half of the year because of the tree sap that comes off the trees from the aphids in those trees. So it's, if anybody has lived in those areas and seen what that can do to your car, your paint job and your windows, it makes quite a mess. So it does limit the availability of parking as it is currently without this construction happening. As I said, I agree with the need using Maples and Wisteria as a template. It doesn't excite me having to go through the rebuild, but I understand it's part of the changing of the community and making sure that there is long-term care for the residents in the neighborhood. So the magnitude of the proposal scares me a bit, and a lot of the neighbors have shared a lot of these same concerns with this as well. So we just want to make sure that, I know we're only 11 houses on the street, but we still are residents of Richmond, and we are going to be the ones mainly impacted by this. And I think the location, I don't know if we have any members from Lions Park that on Gary Street that live behind there, but that place is right next to it. And that building is quite old, and I'm worried about what the construction may do to those members of the elder community that live in our neighborhood as well. So yeah, that's about all I've got today. I want to thank you guys for your time. And I appreciate your time taking to listen.
Thank you very much. Yeah. The gentleman over here. Now, who else in this area here wants to speak? Okay, then we'll see who's over. In a minute, we'll see who's over there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. My name's Tim Evans. I live at 4111 Gary Street, which is very close to the new development. I feel a little bit outnumbered here, but I'm going to be a contrarian and say that firstly, I'm not opposed to long-term care at this location, but what I am opposed to is the size and the density of the development, which is going to be built on a narrow cul-de-sac. Drew and Brian brought up some good points, and I just want to add a few of my own as a resident on Gary Street. Gary Street is already very, very congested. We've got McMath High School, we've got Wisteria, we've got Lions Manor, that's the BC housing facility. We've got 6 townhouse complexes and a Buddhist temple, all within a 500-meter stretch of the street. I don't think there's another street in Richmond, maybe other than Moncton, that's as congested as Gary Street. I live a couple of doors west of McMath, and I witness gridlock every day at 8 a.m., about 8:15 a.m. to be precise, and about 3 p.m. respectively. This doesn't even consider special events such as Canada Day, when Gary Street is literally gridlocked for most of the day. Secondly, the Bunt traffic study was undertaken on September the 17th, when the weather was warm and sunny. Many more people drive to and from McMath in the winter when it's cold and wet. So I think a traffic study during the winter would probably give you a much higher traffic count than, than on September the 17th. Thirdly, has the city, I shouldn't say the city, but has the Vancouver Coastal Health discussed the proposed development directly with the McMath School or the McMath PAC? The safety of children walking to and from school is going to be directly impacted both during the construction phase of the development and upon completion of the 8-story building. A lot of students use Fentimore as a cut through to the school, and in addition to that, a lot of elementary school students use Gary to travel to and from Lord Byng School on Number 1 Road. Again, I'm not opposed to a residential care facility on Fentimore, but I think the height and scale of it should be more in keeping with the existing community. Steveston Village is the jewel in the crown of the city of Richmond, and I'm concerned that allowing an 8-story building in the village will set a bad precedent, potentially opening the door to other high-rise developments in the currently peaceful, scenic, and livable community of Steveston. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going over to this side here. Come on down. Anyone else in this area wanting to speak? Okay, so I think I've asked you all, I think this will be our last speaker. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Maria Luggs, Hospital Employee Union member, chairperson of Richmond Hospital Local, personal care aide for 22 years at Mirror Residence. I am here to speak on behalf of our seniors and the facility itself. As a care aide, I've seen everything. From moving our residents to the facility, and it's sad. It's very sad. Our senior deserve dignity and a place to call home. When they moved to our facility, they've lost everything. Family and their belongings. With this new facility that I've seen, the Fentiman, I am the most prouder care aide because they're gonna live their life in that facility, from having a washroom, having an activity every day, walk to the park, and have the family members and cook a little bit of something. And that they do deserve that. Our seniors, they pay their dues, so please, 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 carry on this project. Don't hold on to it. Build it, please. And thank you so much for having me here. And I'm Maria Luggs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I think that concludes the speakers. And I just want to remind everybody, the city is doing a rezoning. The city is not building this. This is an important distinction, right? There you go. Okay, I'll ask for council consideration, second and third.
Second and third.
Is it seconded? All right, so it's seconded. I want to ask a bunch of questions of staff just to get some answers to some of the questions that have been asked. Mention has been made of the lot coverage. What's the story on that?
Through your worship to the mayor, in terms of the proposed lot coverage for the development, it is a 53% lot coverage. The buildings as proposed are 8 stories in height. What I can tell you is that the proposed development does sit atop a parkade podium that does provide for the 91 parking stalls that are to be accommodated on site that provide parking for staff and visitors.
Okay, all right. Now, what about traffic studies? A lot has been said about Fenneman Place itself, but also Gary Street.
Through your worship, I can certainly run through a number of the comments that were heard tonight, and I can provide a quick response to some of those. The traffic study was received and reviewed by the city's transportation department. Our director of transportation is present tonight and can provide any further details or information as it relates to that proposal. The traffic impact study did consider background traffic associated with the school and Gary Street. As part of the building permit, the city will also review a construction traffic and parking management plan, which will include mechanisms for continued access for vehicles and pedestrians as construction occurs. There was a comment made about the council's consideration of the project setting a precedent. This project does not set a precedent. Each application is considered on its own merits on a case-by-case basis. The construction impacts at this point in time are unknown, as there is no current building permit application that has been made that would outline and detail the methods of construction. Any further questions regarding construction impacts are best directed to VCH and their consultant team for them to answer. I will add that VCH has indicated that they are committed to continuing to keep the community informed and engaged during the entire construction process of the project.
What about the event-generated traffic? A number of people have mentioned that.
Through your worship, event-generating traffic is still able to be accommodated in the area. Again, Fentimore Place will remain open during construction. Staff have reviewed the width of Fentimore Place and have confirmed that even during construction, Fentimore can still operate.
What about reference was made to priority for Steveston residents?
Through your worship, in terms of priority for Steveston residents, that programmatic, that is part of the programming of the facility. Again, that is best answered by members from VCH.
All right, it would, but it would, when we say Steveston residents, but Richmond residents are going to have, I can't say absolute priority, but they're going to be preferred, right?
Through your worship, this application does not secure that commitment outright. However, I understand that there, from many of the presentations, that there is a clear need for this type of facility for Richmond residents. That question is best answered by our friends at Vancouver Coastal Health.
All right. There was reference made to concessions made, like they talked about with the Steveston Community Center, the ball diamond had to be used, but what about those kinds of situations for this construction?
At this point in time, no concessions have been requested or use of city property for construction laydown purposes or other activities. Any use of city property would ultimately still be subject to a separate city council approval.
All right, and the types, I don't want to get too heavily into construction, but do you know anything about the types of preload? Are they talking about, pile of sand? Are they talking about a pile driving? What are they talking about?
Through your worship, I am not aware of their construction program at this point in time. Again, I would best direct that to the applicant for their response.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Day.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions because I wrote them down as well, but I would like to get some questions answered by Vancouver Coast just to maybe calm people's nerves a little bit. So one of the things that was said was that there was only 1 day of traffic study done. Is that correct?
Who can answer that, Mr. B, or who's? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if, through you to Councillor Day, if you could repeat the question.
It was said that there was just 1 day of traffic study done. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you think it might be worthwhile to maybe do a few more days study, just different days of the week, different times of the year, just so we can deal with some of the concerns?
To your worship to Councillor Day, certainly that's possible. It's not altogether typical with most of the developments we deal with, but certainly we could do that.
Okay, now there was reference made to the speed limit being higher than it is on Moncton and turning Gary into a speedway. Is it possible to lower the speed on Gary, right? Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor Day, absolutely. As we embark on doing a traffic calming process for Gary Street that came up as part of this. That's certainly one of the things that we offer through these. And of course, as you're aware, that council has to decide to change the bylaw to allow that, but certainly that's something we will ask the public if they want that.
We might need a referral for that. And then what about raised crosswalks? Is that something that could be done?
That would be part of the same study.
Okay, and then I was just looking at an aerial map of McMath High School, and it sounds to me like most of the traffic is coming from people picking up and dropping their kids off. Well, McMath High School, as the bird flies, is actually quite close to number 1 road. Is there any possibility of putting a pathway through so people could drop their students off on number 1 road and have them just walk down a pathway to McMath? Just asking.
Through your worship to Councillor Day, that is possible potentially. I don't know where we'd get the land at this point in time. And to be honest, I'm not positive that we'd want to have people stopping on an arterial roadway to do such a thing.
Well, just, any ideas? It just might be a crazy idea, but it's good to ask it. And then they talked about that they were going to lose parking on Fentimore Road. But is that the case? Because according to the report, that no parking will be lost on Fentimore, and it's possible to do resident permits.
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor Day, actually what I understood is that there will be 1 or 2 parking spots that are lost due to the driveway, but in general it will remain the same. And certainly, you know, we can look at doing permit parking for residents in that area. We've, as you're aware, done a few studies like this throughout the city. They've often come back negative once people understand the pros and cons of permit parking.
Yeah, one more traffic question, Salmon Day parking. I'm assuming that that's going to be off the table once this gets under construction?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, we'll certainly address that through part of the traffic management plan.
I can see that. And then of planning staff, there was a concern that the 8-story building will shadow the homes. But I'm looking at the drawing, and with it being towards the south side of the lot, will it shadow any homes?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, there will be some shadowing of the adjacent properties despite moving the building massing as far south as possible. The applicant did work quite closely with our design staff and our planning staff in order to try to best locate the building in a manner that would pose the least impact from shadowing.
Okay, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll follow up on that. As we know, twice, as you referred to, Your Worship, it was a 9-no vote all the way through, so this is a crowning tonight. I want to ask staff a question. The list of concerns for the residents, you've started to answer them, but cannot all of these be done before development permit is done? And we know that Gary Street already has problems. And I'm going to bring it up on Thursday to the chair of Public Works, even though I'm not on it, to deal with these issues already. Can we not deal with the concerns, the car parking and everything else on Gary Street now before you even issue a permit? Because they are of concern, whether the building goes in or not. So shouldn't we be dealing with them now? Can we not do that by resolution on Thursday?
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, there is no development permit associated with this project as it is an institutional development. So subject to the rezoning bylaw being granted third reading and subsequent adoption, the applicant would be able to apply for a building permit for issuance in order to start construction. The issues that have been identified today, however, again, have been assessed as part of the existing traffic impact studies that have been completed to date. And will be further reviewed through the construction traffic and parking management plan that is required prior to the building permit being issued.
So if I make a resolution on Wednesday, Public Works, to immediately address these, we can do that rather than wait? The citizens are still trying to drive through this.
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, as my colleague in transportation can add to this, there is a traffic study already being undertaken along Gary Street that is underway with expected consultation in early 2026. But Mr. B, if you have anything further to add.
Will that come back to council?
Through your worship, yes. Any recommendations resulting from that study would come back to council.
We've got to wait till 2026. I got the one through Stevenson with support of all this council already for 30K throughout the town side of Stevenson. I'm going to put this forward on Thursday. I'll give you a notice of motion now. I'll make them up for Thursday through the chair. We'll address these 5 issues at Public Works and what we should be doing as stewards of it. And thank you very much from the community to give us those. So that will be happening on Thursday.
Just a reminder, it's on Wednesday.
Did I say Thursday? Is it today?
Or you can make it whenever you want. Councillor Glanders.
Thank you, Mayor Brody. I just have one question of staff. Back to the construction. So given that there's no building permit and we're not involved in the construction, what is the process as far as we know that there was some issues with the construction of a new school in the Diefenbaker neighborhood, for example. So if there is any high impact activity that possibly is damaging any buildings, do you know what the process is for pre-building inspections, and then who would be responsible?
Through your worship to Councillor Galanders, as part, there is no There is no development permit that is required. However, a building permit is required to be issued by the city and will be reviewed and approved and ultimately issued by the city's chief building official. In terms of any impacts to adjacent properties, the city does have a good neighbor program for any development that occurs in the city, encouraging those developers to keep their neighbors informed as construction proceeds. Vancouver Coastal Health has indicated that they would do so throughout the construction process. We can certainly have a discussion with VCH and their consultants during the building permit stage to encourage them to make sure that they are working with their neighbors, and should there be any issues that they can amicably address them.
Okay, thanks.
All right, with that, I'm not seeing any other speakers here on council, so we'll call the question on second and third reading. And just before I do, once we make a decision on this, chances are a lot of you are going to want to be leaving. We are still in the middle of a public hearing and we have other items on the agenda, okay? So we'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? So that is carried. So that does it. That one. Okay, so Madam Clerk, the next item.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 2, it's a temporary use permit for the location of 12800 Rice Mill Road. The applicant is Hayden Co. Holdings Limited, and the purpose is Hayden Co. Holdings Limited has applied for a temporary commercial use permit to allow non-accessory parking as a permitted use at the northwest corner of 12800 Rice Mill Road. First reading was on November 24th.
Hey, hang on, folks. Please, I asked you to do that silently, okay? I asked you nicely. Okay, so is the applicant here for this one? Okay, did you want to make a presentation or just await questions? Any submissions?
There are no submissions.
Anybody wanting to speak to us on this item?
Move the council consideration.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And the final item, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 3, Richmond Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 10719. This is for the location of citywide. The applicant is the City of Richmond, and the purpose is to amend the development permit area exemptions of the Official Community Plan Bylaw 9000 to provide an inflationary adjustment to the exterior alterations exemption threshold and to exempt exterior envelope repairs required due to water ingress. First reading was on November 24th.
Okay, did staff want to make any further submission on this?
No further submission, Your Worship.
Okey doke. In just a minute, any written submissions?
No submissions, Your Worship.
And there's nobody here. So now, moved and seconded, discussion, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Adoption, moved, and is it seconded? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, now we've got the adjournment.